Well, hello, it's GMODISM. We're back building this Battleship, and today I got some news and some new outlines to share with you, so I fleshed out a little bit more kind of how I want the ship to look like. So let's check that out right now. GMODISM. We also got a name for the ship, and it's probably gonna be Gimli, or that's Icelandic, or the Swedish Gimle. So basically, since it's going to beat the Ragnarök, and it's one of the big reasons why we do this ship, we need this only thing that survives Ragnarök. Well, Gimle is the golden hole with the golden gemstones where all the worthy people survive Ragnarök. So of course, we can't win Ragnarök, that's an impossible battle to win, but we can at least survive it. So that's why we call this ship Gimle. Beautiful. Okay, so what are we gonna have? I wanna have a big laser and some really insanely strong lamp system. I'm thinking to actually connect up my laser and the lamp system so there's power, same source. I want some kind of HESH spammer, 300 millimeters or something like that. I have some specific number to get specific sounds. If you want to know how to get specific APS sounds from different guns, check out my tutorial about that. Then I want to use my bolter turrets. They're really big. You saw them in the Venture mood. AP heat, Sabot solid, AP frag, EMP, some mixed there. I want some hollow point crams to really tank and completely make it so that the enemy CVs and lasers will not even be able to take them out, really high health point hollow point cram. I want a tiny missile laser system that just targets the enemy ship and just confuses their smoke so they get very confused. Alright, here we have the ship thing. So it's gonna be a right-sider, so I want to have most of the armor on the right side of the ship. Then I want to have some laser lamps and civs deck around, some turrets. I want to have them on deck too, small things sticking up. I want 2 big cram turrets in the front, 2 big cram turrets in the back, and a couple of APS in the middle here. Then we want engines here, engines there, engines there. So we have engines in different positions, and one of these engines should be able to keep this thing floating. Because one thing I noticed, and that's that water pumps cause so much lag, block count isn't even a thing. I can have 100k blocks at ships battling each other with not having serious lag, as long as there is no water pumps. Water pumps really eat up my CPU and make it stutter, and I just hate that. So, to not make my system lag, I'm going to not have any water pumps. And if I will take some submissions of challengers that will challenge this ship, one of the requirements will be having no water pumps. Rules will come later if we do it, I can promise that, so keep tuned for that. But if we do it, no water pumps allowed. In any case, that's the outline. This is subject to change. We might not even do that at all, but that's a little idea that we're going to get building from. So let's go. And there we are. You might be wondering a little bit here, has anything even been added? I think you'll see. So we started to build on a hull. It looks like this. And when I spawned these turrets here and looking at the design we just saw, I felt like my current ship design was a little bit too elongated and thin, and I wanted a thicker design. So I have constructed this little board. I am very aware of that we basically have no armor from underneath it. So that is a choice I made, to have very little armor where I don't think it's needed. And this makes us extremely susceptible to torpedoes coming from below. This ship, we're going to try and make it pretty fast, so we're actually just going to ignore torpedoes completely, because you can always counter a ship with something, and torpedoes is something that we choose to not focus our resources on. So if it might be a problem sometime, maybe we'll have to update it and add anti-torpedo defenses, but we're not going to armor very well against torpedoes. We're going to go for redundancy instead. So here is one of the engine models I've made. S-Corp main engine Type 1C 4K power. So this thing, obviously, it produces a lot more than 40k power, but when we are putting it under heavy load, it only produces 40k power. So I tested them under load to decide. And under load, they're 40k, so that's what they're listed as. Right, here we have some different armor slabs. I developed some different types of armor. You can see them in the cross section here. So this is a pretty heavy armor, and it's using a little bit interesting setup here. So the first layer of armor is very thin like that. It's only one slab of metal and one slab of wood. And that is because if we're hit with HESH shells, if we're having a spall liner that's like 50% of the armor, from our earlier empirical test, as you may have seen, this basically is the best setup against HESH, having a spall liner this strong. And that should not be able to, whatever the strength of the HESH, if they shoot against this, I don't think they will be able to get through this armor at all. And this armor isn't very expensive. However, this leaves us open to, if anybody sandblasts away this first surface layer, they will be able to get through with the shells afterwards. But I'm going to build a pretty spacious design, so even though this is like the outer wall, there is going to be a lot of empty space, and we're going to have some interior armor as well. So it's okay that I have my air gap so near the surface of the armor, because we are effectively going to have another air gap, because we're going to have interior armor. Now we had some discussions before and tests, and we now know that checkerboard armor is less efficient. I talked with some different people in the Discord, like Pitts, Summer, Balkan, Scarabas, and all those names. I don't even remember who's in the discussions, but basically checkerboard armor isn't very good. It's useful in some certain circumstances, but in general it's not a generally good design. So the Draconia had it, and it is a-okay, but it's not the best, because high explosive has gotten a little buff. So when a high explosive shell detonates in a enclosed space, it has a damage buff, so it deals more damage. And when we have a checkerboard armor, if the wood gets blown away very easily, an explosion can get into that empty space and effectively deal more damage to the blocks around it. And that's the theory around it. It seems to be correct, but we're going to do an empirical testing video about checkerboard armor, because it indeed seems that it's better to just do like this, for example. So we can kind of put them in slabs like this instead. Should be better than having them, than having them like that. Because we want 2 layers of metal stacked on top of each other, because then we can get the armor stacking bonus. In any case, I'm thinking what armor scheme I'm going to use here. This is the heavy armor. You can see it has actually 2 built-in air gaps, and that's of course not needed. It's just that it has the equivalent of 1 block of heavy armor, but it's ported up like this, so if a shot hits this thing and destroys it, we still have a surface that the shot can get deflected on. For example, for armor-piercing heat shells. Pretty scary stuff. Well, in any case, that's basically that. This is the heavy layer, this is the standard layer, and this is my super heavy layer with like 4-meter beams of heavy armor. And I think this is a little bit too heavy to have on this design. I'm going to go more for redundancy than heavy armor. Well, anyways, this is the shape of the ship, and the other side of the armor is already set up here. It's gonna be a right-sider, So I only expect some stray missiles and stray stuff to come in from this direction. So it's using a pretty thin and light armor here. So this is the 5th iteration of the ship. And the fifth iteration basically cost 3 million because we now have started to build the turret placement. So as you could have seen from my little outline, I wanted 2 big cram cannons, but I'm thinking maybe we'll go with 3 big cram cannons. And this is the crusher cram we looked at before, which will go through the Ragnarok's lambs and most other systems, civ systems, like as well. But these are some high health points, boys. Here we also have the Arcaballista Invictus, the 480mm Sabot sniper cannon that's designed to shoot underwater parts on ships to really make them sink, which is one of the other strategies we'll use to tackle the Ragnarok. And I decided that it is better to have this shooting at a low angle. I can't have it here in the middle as I thought before, because I want to shoot under the waterline. And if I'm shooting under the waterline, like if I'm up here and shooting down, you can see if I'm shooting under, I might do like no damage. But if I'm like here and shooting underwater, I might do the double damage. So just a few meters up and down for a submarine or subsurface sniper cannon like this matters a lot. So all of my Arcaballista Invictus will be moved to a position where it's pretty like low. Here we also have some basic armor for the engine here. We don't need a lot of armor, but we want something that can catch up some stray shots from above, no, from in front of it and from the side. Because of course the ship will spawn with its nose to the enemy, so we'll need to have some armor in the front. Not much, we mostly need to be lucky, but we need to have some armor. And here you can see the shape I talked about in the earlier video here. I wanted this kind of boxing thing going to a flat little surface, and we're going to have a cast iron structure down here. So this is just a flat little simple surface, pretty cheap armor. Nothing important is gonna be here, it's mostly there to be hydrodynamic. Here we have the 6th iteration of the ship, and I started to play around a little bit with having some diff guns here perhaps. We'll see. Here we also have some interior armor, and this is another checkerboard pattern. And I'm wondering how it is the case with the stone and metal, because their health values are pretty similar, like 16 and 12. So this should give each other some kind of AP bonus, because stone is more efficient armor technically than metal. But I don't know, I think we'll need to test that later, but I added some of that here because I had my prefabs. So I maybe use this some interior armor, but I think I'll need to have proper turret wells as well, because otherwise we're gonna be pretty sad. We added our laser cube here. So this is the, maybe I can do like this actually, to just show you. This is like the laser cube. It's an integrated laser system, and I hope this will be protected enough to survive. It's pretty well protected up, and it should be able to deliver laser to lambs and damaged lasers in a decent way. I think it costs like, I think it's a 45,000 power laser. Yeah, continuous of course. Here we have a little AI core. We're going up here with the largest of my AI cores. This is the same core that's used on the Super Battle Carrier, I think. It is, it's pretty nice, protected, well set up, has automatic shield switch and stuff integrated. So I think it's gonna serve us well. It's gonna provide us with like 4 AIs? No? 3 AIs. Yeah, it should be 3. Here I also added my S-Corp's 80k power generators, because of course the Arcaballista Invictus uses a lot of power to shoot those railgun shells. It's like a mixed system, but we need some decent power. So that's why we have so much power here. However, I'm not sure I'm gonna have them at the same place, because you know, they might get shot at. And we have some heavy armor framework here to just keep the turrets up. It's pretty unlikely that they will be destroyed completely. Here is a battery actually, if we just remove it here, it's an EMP insulated battery. This thing is pretty expensive. Like man, one of these batteries costs like 800, so I don't know, that's like 100k or something. But I thought we could have a little battery here behind the turret, should be pretty well protected. So we have some power generation and stuff like that. Still haven't decided on the armor, but maybe in the next iteration. Oh my god, look, we have armor. Just kidding. We just started the outline. I decided to go one of the models that only have one layer of metal in front of it and one layer of wood to get that maximum spall lining effect. Because some people use HESH to great effect, and I want to make sure I'm pretty well protected against HESH spammers. Here, by the way, we have a sonar decoy, because I thought it could be a good idea to have a sonar decoy in case we get some, well, torpedoes that are sonar. And we have also started to add these. These are, of course, my pods of Azipod pods. They are this one. I made it for this application, but they use 8,000 power each. Pretty nice, provides pretty nice thrust, and we could have them in the front and the back, and we should have some decent speed and maneuverability. I removed the turrets, the cram turrets from the back portion here. So I have 3 here. I'm thinking to have at least 4 of them, so I left one, I removed the other ones. And unfortunately, we're still like 2.8 million, and it needs to cost under 2.2 million. So man, I don't know, we may need to rethink a little bit on our armaments. Oh my god, we removed some more stuff. I'm thinking I'm wanting to have all of these units here, kind of, but on this one. But we're still 2.793 million. And I know we should spend the most of our budgets on firepower and not like armor, because spending that on armor is just a waste of material, usually. But man, we're so far away from 2.2 million. It's gonna be a little bit tricky to get this to a cost-efficient way, like seriously. I don't know, we'll see what to do. You can see I wanted to add the cram turrets in the back here. We have my nice little turrets here in the back. And I added another one of these arquebalistas down here, just because I really want to make sure we have good redundancy. So we can have like 2 in the front. Yeah, I added another one in the front if I forgot to say that. So we have 1 here and 1 here. And the thought is, since this is a right-sider, I imagine these both can aim to the right pretty well and shoot targets on the right. While still sharing the same plane, because we want them both to be like low slang and under the cram barrels, of course, because otherwise they'll collide with each other. And we have 1 extra here in the back for redundancy, and I think we should really be able to poke some holes in the enemy. And man, we're a little bit too expensive. We're gonna see what to do with this. I did add the Azipods in the back to our little vertical propulsion system, just to make us steer and everything like that. So by now we should actually be able to like steer this thing. You can see we can turn. I can like go, like of course this is mainly dead weight, but we can go forwards and turn around and all sorts of cool stuff. Isn't that nice? Well, the time has come to test the armor scheme, but I just thought a little bit with my armor switcher here. I thought it was a little bit annoying that we kind of are in the like wrong direction all the time. So I'm kind of thinking like, what if, I think I have a fix, like what if we have a spin block here? Oh man, that's upside down. If I have this upside correct, well, like that. Now we can build on this plane. And now we should be able to get it back here. And I think you're gonna see in a short little second what I'm going to mean here. So if I just placed it this here, Like that, perfect. And I'll just go to this block, select another one that's a little bit shorter. Oh my god. Oh, so now I can build on this, and I don't have to be tilted. And I can use my GHJ. Oh my god, that's amazing. And I can change this armor upright. Isn't that smart? Using a spin block to change the direction. Wow, I'm feeling very intelligent today. Oh my god. We're going to do some tests. I have worked together the different armor schemes a little bit before here. And by the way, they are all, you can see there, available for all the commissioned officers in the army of GMODISM. So I just want to give a huge thanks to our channel supporters, the commanding officers, Admiral Super Dave, Stellar Lieutenant C2, Ayak the Boater, Commander Ayak the Boater, Commander Eugene, Lieutenant Asteria, powered by Greed, Tyler Russ, and Vincent Veritas. Thanks a lot for supporting the channel. It really helps us out to make more videos and stuff. In any case, here we have the standard level hull armor here. Here we have the direct hit capable super heavy armor. And here we have the normal heavy armor. This one costs 4,000. So I made them cover the same surface. They are differently thick, but they cover different surfaces. And these two have some alloy in them just to give some floatiness and better internal armor. In any case, this one has a cost of 4,269. This one has a cost of 6,336. And this one has a cost of 1,944. So we're going to test their effectiveness, and we're gonna do a cost-benefit analysis and see which of them should be the main armor. First out, we're gonna test regular armor piercing, which is of course the most normal type of shell tip you will meet. We have a lot of AP frag, AP HE. So let us do the direct hit capable. Did not go through, only did some damage there, okay. And this, by the way, is like 200mm shells, so this could be a sandblaster thing almost. So it's good if we can survive some sandblasting, I think. Now we have the heavy armor here. It destroyed one heavy armor block. Alright. And then we get the thinnest armor here. Bam! It didn't get through! That's nice. Okay, so it did destroy this, of course. We don't have any air gap left here. But it didn't get through. Well, okay, so they're all safe from sandblasting. We're gonna try Sabot. I actually expect this to be able to shoot through all the armors. If we're gonna do a Sabot, let's do what I have, 480mm. I think it should be able to penetrate all of these armors. But let's just test. And something like this, I will not try to defend against, because I don't think we can. Oh, okay. And what about the heaviest of the heavy armors? Ah, melts right through. Okay. Sabots, we can protect against sabots, like not in a reasonable fashion, because of course ERA doesn't defend against them either. So I think when it comes to sabots like the Arquebalista Invictus, we'll just have to understand that they will go through, and we'll need redundancy for this reason. And of course, we can spot protect some areas like the AI that we just cannot lose, but in general, we can't defend against that. Alright, now we're going to test 400mm heat shells. So it's 400mm, it's heat, and we're gonna test them against the armor types. Oh! Awesome! It didn't go through this one. And do remember, like, this armor costs 1,944. And this one costs basically like more than 3 times as much. And this one, it costs the double of this one. So that's why I thought it was remarkable. I thought they might be able to get through, but that's cool to know. And then we're gonna do the next one. And they shouldn't get through, of course. No, just destroyed one layer. We should be able to fire a couple of more of them before we get through. Yeah. We're gonna go back to this one actually. Fire another one. Yeah, it gets through on the other one. And let's try this one, the heaviest armor. Bam. Doesn't go through. Oh. It felt like we hit it right on... Well. So against big heat shells, they all protect for one shot, but I don't know, we should have an armor that can protect against a like major shot from one point, but I don't think we can design it in order to take several shots on the same spot, because we're of course not gonna overspend on armor. So let's do the same with the HESH. Alright. Bam! That deals some heavy damage. So we're 400 millimeters again, but it just spreads out there. Bam! And the second shot gets through. It only protects against one HESH there. This one. These are a little bit tough. Whoa! Oh my god! This one also just protected against like 2 blasts there. Wait, that's the wrong shell. Excuse me, we forgot to do one of these. Okay. 1, 2, didn't go through. 3, man! And the 4th one. Okay, okay. Well, that's good to know. How about our middle armor here? 1, 2, can zoom in here. 3, 4. Okay, weird. And this is just double the expense. Oh, and of course, the heaviest armor. 1, 2, 3. What? Also 4. You know what? It's really... I did already think this from the beginning. Because when we designed this, I did some small tests and I found out that this armor scheme was pretty efficient. But man, I didn't expect them to take equally much, even though this is like smaller. That's a little bit crazy. That is a little bit crazy. But of course, the damage done to this part is a little bit less. It's less spread out. But seriously, they protected kind of equally well. This is definitely a current favorite. We're gonna do a hollow point shell. Let's see, our AP is 38. That should be enough. And I think we're going to max out the gauge on this thing. And we're gonna see what types of damage we do here. So, first armor. Bam! Ooh, very much through on 2 shots. That's some serious damage. And the middle armor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Much better, much better. Oh, and we go with this thick one. 1, 2, 3. Also 4. This armor isn't as strong as I thought it would be, honestly. Let's do some AP frag. This is pretty normal. Maybe not at like 500 millimeters, but probably like 450 or something like that. It's a strong shell. So, let's try out AP frag. Bam! Ooh! It got through! I need to see that again. Bam! Okay, didn't get through this time. This time, they caught it. Oof, that's some scary stuff, man. This one, bam. Oh, the armor piercing just melted through here. Bam, didn't even stop it, did go straight through here. Whew. Yeah, I don't know if we can protect against that. And that one just melts through, of course it does. Yeah. cool sound. I don't remember what I labeled that sound, but I have a video about that. Of all the, what is it, 11 APS sounds? 20? 30? I don't remember. I should say, however, that these are some pretty, like, strong shells. There is a lot of explosive, there is a lot of chemical load in these. They're, of course, only set up for testing, but a lot of people don't use as big shells as we're using here. A lot of people are using smaller shells. But I've set up an armor-piercing secondary shape charge, so a secondary heat. We're gonna see what types of damage that deals. Melts right through. Can begin with this one. Melts right through. Well, it should be pretty similar, right? Since we are having the same kind of gauge. Ooh, and it gets completely pwned by this armor. It doesn't. Oh, what? Does it perhaps exactly hit the spot here so it actually detonates the shaped charge and bypasses the air gap? That's a little bit scary. Do we actually need a like physical air gap to prevent this? I think we may do. Like, since it's a wedge, it's hitting straight on. I wonder if we can use this to our advantage by having just a total heat spammer, an AP heat spammer in very low gauge, and we could get some lucky shots to go through even the best armors. We're gonna try some sand/gravel blaster here. So we're going to go with the first armor here, and we're basically set up a, well, it's a Sabot shell. It's just 125 millimeters. Wow, it melts through pretty easily, doesn't it? Did I set the RPM on this thing? Because, yeah. 1 shot, 2 shots, it gets through in 2 shots. That's not very good. 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots. Only takes 3 shots? It's like only 125. Man. 1, 2. 3 on this too? So this is better, but I don't know, man. I guess this is a pretty insane shell. I don't know if it is, but it deals a lot of damage, this thing. Interesting. Interesting. You know what? I really like this armor scheme. It's like half the cost. I feel we're gonna use this armor scheme, and we're gonna use this one on some spots where we want some heavier protection. And I think we're just gonna skip the direct hull capable one, direct hit capable one, because it really isn't. And I'm going to build on the 10th iteration, which will be the next one, because the last one was the 9th. And I'm gonna be back. The Gimli Battleship, 10th iteration, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I have built a lot on the armor here, as you can see. We have also started to outline some structures here. So, I did go with the cheaper of the options, naturally, because it was almost as good as the other ones, but cost half as much. And this one, I put a little section here with the more expensive armor. Just because I think I'll just need to protect this laser core a little bit. I just need to make sure it's not damaged, and we're having it out here a little bit, since the enemy can be in an angle like this, or an angle like that. It's not gonna be straight broadside most likely. And then, since I don't want to lose the Arqueballista Invictus, I did put some heavy armor here too, because a shot could theoretically go and kill both of the turrets in one shot, which would be very sad. So I did add some front-facing armor to this turret too, so it wouldn't get damaged early on. And yeah, that's basically what we added here. We added that type of armor, and I started to add some shapes and general outlines of the structure. I'm going to have the same type of armor there, with just 1 layer of metal and 1 layer of wood like that. And we of course kept our thinner, lighter armor on the side here. Just 1 layer one little spall liner there, and just like this. Very basic stuff, because it, of course, in the best of worlds, won't even get shot one time, so we shouldn't spend too much on it. Yeah, but hopefully this will be a better armor and a much better armor scheme on than the Draconia. Since wood is technically the best armor in the game, since it has the most amounts of health points if we measure it with armor. I think it has the most amounts of health points times armor class than any of the other materials. So wood is actually pretty good. But it's not good to have it too much on the surface, and the Draconia had that problem, because then you can get your health points pretty quickly burnt away by a big laser. So it's kind of good to have at least one layer of hard shell in front of it. Of course, we're gonna use a lot of heavy armor, and that is for the turrets. So you can see we have some turret wells here. I don't know if they were here before, but it's one layer of well, some pretty heavy armor poles, and we have metal armor poles on the side that will not face the enemy, just in case like a cram or a missile with frag lands behind the turret, and we don't want the fragments to get easy. We don't want to make the fragments go and do damage to the interior of the turret too easily, basically, as you might understand. So that's what we added there, but this is the 10th iteration, and we're going to think a little bit about how we're going to develop it more. But our largest issue right now is that we are a little bit too expensive. We kept this turret here, and we're still, like you can see, 202 million, almost 3 million, and that's of course too much. We moved around some stuff there. I decided to have the materials under the turrets here, so they should have some decent protection. But yeah, it's pretty expensive there. Now this is the 11th iteration. Just did some minor changes, removed some turrets and stuff. Well, this is the 12th iteration of the ship and the last one for this episode. As you can see, we have started to outline some beautiful shapes around the turrets here, make it look pretty cool. I'm really looking forward on shaping and designing this ship to look super awesome. But now we are finally getting rid of that extra section. So, of course, I won't be able to keep all those turrets. We're gonna see what we can afford or not. But now we're only costing 1.7 million. Yay! We have some basic armor in the back here. We got what we set up to do, and I'm thinking we are developing some nice shapes on this thing. But we are going to get back onto building this ship next time. This is the 12th iteration of the ship, but well, I think we have been looking at the armor long enough, and hopefully it will perform as well on the battlefield as it performs in my small tests. So in any case, thanks a lot for watching. Glad you're tuning in. Hope you will enjoy this little series. This is your host GMODISM. I'll see you next time. Oh, I added a laser turret here, if I didn't say that. That's the old Lazarus turret, by the way. But yeah, we're gonna have another one too, of course. But in any case, here we have it. It's pretty cool looking so far. I'm looking forward to complete it, and if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it, so more people will find it. Also, you should probably join our Discord. We have some fun discussions there if you want to discuss from the depth with us. In any case, this is your host GMODISM, and we are signing out.